Do you ever wonder whether the thing you do every day just to relieve the pressure is truly helping you, or if it is quietly draining your masculine energy, that foundational drive that defines your focus and confidence? As a urologist, I often see men over 40 who notice their bodies aren't responding like they used to. The drive drops, the mind feels foggy, and intimacy starts to feel like an obligation rather than a joy. Yet when they are alone, they can't seem to break the cycle. You might catch yourself thinking, am I just getting older or is this habit pulling me down? What I see in the clinic is that the scariest part isn't the act itself. It's the daily loop that desensitizes your brain's dopamine receptors, making real life feel dull and cracking your confidence in ways you don't even notice until the damage shows up in your performance or your energy levels. This video isn't here to judge you. It's here to help you understand the 5 most subtle clinical risks of daily masturbation for men over 40, risks many only realize after they've paid the price with constant fatigue, weaker erections, or even chronic pelvic discomfort that they've been told is just age. If you want to protect your edge and your long-term vitality, subscribe so you don't miss the recovery protocols I'll be sharing in the next episodes. I also want to hear where you are in this journey. If this resonates with you, leave a 1 in the comments. If not, a 0 is fine too. I read every word so I can keep these insights practical and evidence-based for your real world. Now, let's start with the first risk, and it's the most hidden one. It doesn't hit your body first, it hits your brain's neurochemistry, and from there, everything else starts sliding one piece at a time. Have you noticed something truly disruptive? The older you get, especially after 40, the harder it becomes to get in the groove with the high-effort goals that used to define you, like training, career growth, or long-term ambition. It's not because you lack willpower, it's because your brain is undergoing a dangerous neurobiological adaptation. You see, every time you engage in this habit, your brain releases a massive surge of dopamine, the neurotransmitter that creates pleasure but also fuels your drive to pursue challenges. The clinical problem isn't a single release, it's the daily loop, especially when coupled with digital novelty, because your brain becomes wired for cheap dopamine, high-intensity rewards for near-zero effort. In urology, we often see this as a reward-to-effort imbalance. What happens next? Your reward system begins to downregulate. You start needing increasingly intense stimulation just to feel baseline satisfaction, while real-world achievements start to feel bland. A workout no longer provides that spark. A professional victory no longer lights you up. The scariest part is that you don't even realize you're becoming neurochemically dependent, feeling restless and irritable if you don't do it, yet feeling depleted and empty the moment it's over. Do you recognize that loop? Pushing through the day on low energy, self-medicating with a cheap hit at night, only to wake up even more drained for the next day? If this feels true for you, don't spiral into shame. Just understand this. When your brain is conditioned by artificial rewards, your body loses its natural rhythm. And that is exactly when the next risk shows up, the moment where many men feel their confidence slip for the first time, right inside their own marriage. There are men who still have deep desire, still love their wives, and want to be close. But the moment it becomes real life, their body doesn't cooperate. Have you ever been there? Finding yourself getting hard more slowly, struggling to maintain firmness, or needing to resort to mental fantasies just to stay in the moment? A lot of men assume this is simply age, but as a urologist, I can tell you it's often because your body has been chemically trained the wrong way. Daily masturbation, especially when it is fast, high intensity, or tied to digital stimulation, creates what we call a conditioned sexual response. Your nervous system learns that only that exact artificial rhythm or specific visual script can flip the switch for arousal, a pattern that real human intimacy rarely matches. And then, something painful happens. You start fearing failure. In urology, we call this the psychological feedback loop. When a man feels fear, he avoids. He stays busier, pretends to be more tired, and uses excuses like, not tonight, or I'm not in the mood. But the truth is, he is protecting his self-respect from another hit. Fear is the fastest killer of performance. The more you avoid, the more sympathetic nervous system tension builds. The more tension builds, the harder it becomes to perform. The harder it becomes, the more you retreat to the easiest path, alone in the dark, until the loop tightens even more. If you see yourself here, ask yourself this. Do you want your body to relearn the language of real intimacy? Or do you want it to keep responding only to a private script in the dark? Because when your confidence shakes, the consequences don't stay in the bedroom. They spill over, draining your daily vitality and your identity as a man. That is the next risk. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that only men truly understand. It's not the "I worked too hard" fatigue. It's a hollow neurochemical depletion. Your body feels heavy, your mind is clouded by a persistent brain fog, and even simple tasks feel like climbing a mountain. Many men over 40 live in this state and simply conclude it's just age. But I want you to look closer. Have you noticed those days when you masturbate out of habit, feel a brief flicker of relief, and then crash 2 hours later? The fire is gone. The drive is gone. You become irritable and distant. In urology, we understand this as an autonomic nervous system shift. After orgasm, your body surges with prolactin, the hormone that signals satiety but also triggers profound lethargy and a refractory period that, after 40, doesn't reset as fast as it did at 20. When you repeat this daily, you are forcing your system into a state of constant recovery without ever allowing your biochemical tank to refill. If you are using daily masturbation to release stress, but it is actually stripping away your motivation and focus, are you treating the symptom or are you feeding the root cause? It's a sobering realization. The thing you believe helps you relax is quietly compromising your edge as a man. There is a warning I place in my clinic. The habit you hide the most is often the one that most clearly decides your future. If you ignore this, you'll miss the clue explaining why you've been pulling inward, retreating from the world. And when a man pulls inward, he doesn't just get tired, he starts drifting away from the person sleeping right next to him. That is the final and most painful risk. You don't need anyone to tell you this. Men over 40 don't just need sex, they need connection. They need to feel respected and valued as a man. But when you condition your brain for fast solo pleasure, it begins to favor the path of least resistance, bypass the emotional effort required for real intimacy. In the dark, no one asks you to be present, patient, or emotionally available. You just get a quick release in a few minutes. But with a real partner, especially after years of marriage, intimacy is a high-effort, high-reward investment. And that's where the distance forms, not because the love is gone, but because your neurocircuitry is craving real life less. You initiate less, touch less, and look into her eyes less. Your partner feels this emotional neglect, and it builds into coldness and quiet, resentment. Sometimes what breaks a relationship isn't a single shock, it's the daily, repeated absence of presence. If you're single, the risk is just as high. You begin avoiding the effort of dating because your brain has found a biological shortcut to satisfaction, leaving you only with the silence of a familiar room afterward. But stay with me for this final part, because it's what men over 40 fear most: persistent discomfort in the pelvic area and the prostate. This isn't just getting older. In my clinic, we see this as chronic pelvic floor dysfunction or congestive prostatitis, where your body has been physically speaking up through pain and inflammation for a long time. Now it's time to listen to what your body is actually saying. There are physical symptoms men feel too embarrassed to talk about, even to their doctors, so they suffer in silence. I'm talking about that heavy, dragging feeling in the pelvic area, a dull, persistent ache in the groin or lower back, or even a strange, tight pressure in the perineum that won't go away. Some men notice a slight burning or discomfort during urination and fear the worst. In urology, we often identify these not as an infection, but as chronic pelvic pain syndrome, CPPS, or pelvic floor overactivity. You see, ejaculation involves intense rhythmic muscle contractions. Masturbation itself is a normal biological function, but when you force your body into a high-frequency daily loop, especially in a lifestyle that involves prolonged sitting and high stress, Your pelvic floor never gets the chance to fully downregulate or relax. These muscles become chronically shortened and hyperirritable, leading to what we call congestive prostatitis, where blood flow and nerve signals in the region become stagnant and inflamed. I want you to understand this key point. The goal here isn't to create fear, but to help you recognize these early warning signs before they turn into a chronic cycle of dysfunction. If you are experiencing persistent pain, fever, or significant urinary changes, please don't self-diagnose from a video. Consult a specialist for a proper exam. But if you're at the stage where your body is simply giving you these mild warning signals, this is your window of opportunity to adjust your neurobiological rhythm before it's too late. Now, here's my final question. Do you want to keep dismissing these signs as just aging, or do you want to take back control by understanding the real clinical cause? In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to tell if your habit is driven by genuine biological desire or a neurochemical dependency, and how to regain your masculine edge without extreme measures or self-punishment. If you've listened this far and you see yourself in these patterns, the most important thing to understand is that your biology is not your enemy. It is simply misaligned. A man over 40 doesn't lose because he has desire. He only loses when a habit evolves into a neurological loop where he no longer feels he has a choice. You don't need to be extreme, you don't need to swear off your nature, and you certainly don't need to be a perfect abstainer. You only need to do one very masculine thing: face the data honestly, understand the chemistry correctly, and adjust your protocols little by little. Starting today, I want you to try one small neuropause with massive power. For the next 7 days, whenever that impulsive urge strikes, do not act immediately. Pause for exactly 90 seconds, the biological time it takes for a chemical surge to peak and begin to dissipate in your bloodstream. Breathe deeply, oxygenating your system, and ask yourself one clinical question. Am I responding to a genuine biological desire, or am I using this as a dopamine crutch to escape stress, loneliness, or a hollow energy? The moment you can distinguish between the two, you have already successfully re-engaged your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that holds your true power and decision-making. As you master this private habit, you'll notice a remarkable shift. Your baseline energy returns, your confidence thickens, and your presence in your relationship starts to feel warm and intentional again. In the next video, I'll walk you through my specific recovery protocols designed for the busy, high-pressure lifestyle of men over 40. For now, remember this: a strong man isn't a man without desire. A strong man is the one who intentionally chooses his actions today so he won't have to negotiate with regret tomorrow.